where do we stand today with regard to Rerum Novarum? Now, Rerum Novarum was the first of the great social encyclicals. It was written by Pope Leo XIII and published in 1891. And it dealt with problems that were urgent at that time. It was a time when there was a lot of socialism, Marxism around in the air, and a tremendous conflict between capitalism and socialism. And capitalism was generally a very liberal type of laissez-faire capitalism, such as is described, for instance, in Dickens' novels, with very disastrous social effects which planted the seeds of revolution. So there was a revolutionary ferment in much of Europe that did break out in the revolutions of 1848 to some extent. And he began to get a tradition of Catholic social teaching after 1848, and that sort of fructified in this great encyclical of Leo XIII, which dealt mainly with the question of labor and the rights of workers as persons, their right to a living wage, their right to marry and have a family. And I tried to temper the ferocity of capitalism and at the same time to defend private property against socialism. And I think it was a very successful encyclical, even though it wasn't greeted with enthusiasm by everybody at the time. It has stood the test of time extremely well and has been foundational for Catholic social teaching in other papal encyclicals and in Vatican Council II and Gaudium et Spes. They all go back to Leo XIII's great encyclical. It has been commemorated by many anniversaries. On the 40th anniversary, Pius XI published his Quadragesimo Anno, which again depended heavily on Leo XIII, but added a few new principles, such as the principle of subsidiarity, which is so important for contemporary Catholic teaching, that lower types of authority should do what they can without the supreme authority intervening except when necessary. So yes, the 60th anniversary was commemorated by, the 70th I should say, by John the 23rd in Mater et Magistra. The 80th anniversary was commemorated by a letter of Paul VI, Octogesimo Anno, and then the 90th anniversary was commemorated by John Paul II in his Laborem Exercens and the Theology of Labor. And then the 100th anniversary was greeted by another encyclical of John Paul II, Centesimus Annus. So all of them celebrate anniversaries of Leo XIII's foundational encyclical. So I think the basic teaching of that, the repudiation of the extremes of socialism and laissez-faire capitalism, the insistence on the rights of labor and of the family, and the importance of the common good, those have all been staples of Catholic teaching.